The Super Nintendo Entertainment System was released in North America in August of 1991. It was the follow-up to the wildly successful Nintendo Entertainment System and competed in the 16-bit wars against the Sega Genesis and TurboGrafx-16. The processor was half as fast as the Genesis, but it made up for it by having superior graphics and sound abilities, plus a controller with 8 buttons. It was known for the Mario, Zelda, and Donkey Kong games, as well as a plethora of RPGs. Today, I'd like to talk about my 5 go-to Super Nintendo games. The first game on the list is Donkey Kong Country. I remember seeing it for the first time in a Toys R Us and wondered, how the heck did they make such cool-looking graphics? Only later did I learn that it was all pre-rendered on a Silicon Graphics workstation. It was released in 1994 and is the pseudo-sequel to the original Donkey Kong game. It's a side-scrolling platform game where you play as Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong on a quest to recover their bananas from the evil Kremlings. The gameplay is really amazing and varied, and you'll see jungles, caves, and mines, underwater, and mountains, and ruins on your quest. Now, I said this was a sequel, but it's thought that the old Cranky Kong character is actually Donkey Kong from the original game, which means you're actually playing as Donkey Kong Jr. Well, I like to think so anyway. An amazingly great game that has won tons of awards and spawned many sequels. Our next game is Kirbys Avalanche, which is Nintendo's version of a Puyo Puyo game. When I started playing it, I had no idea what Puyo Puyo was, but I instantly loved it. It's a puzzle game originally released in 1995, starring that pink puffball Kirby, who is challenged by increasingly difficult characters from his games. In the game, 2 globs will drop down from the top, and it's your job to match 4 of the same color together. When globs disappear, one from above will drop down and could cause even more matches. What sets this game apart from other similar puzzle games is the competitive element. Causing an avalanche of glob matches will send clear globs to the opponent's side, which will slow down his progress. If globs reach the top, you will lose. Such a fun game, and I highly recommend it. Super Castlevania IV is the next game on the list. It's a side-scrolling action platformer where you play as Simon Belmont on a quest to defeat Dracula. You'll traverse the castle defeating creatures with your trusty whip, and you can even moonwalk. The stages are varied, and you'll have to defeat bosses such as Medusa, a giant bat, a mummy, a golem, and even Death himself. I've never gotten very far in any of the Castlevania games. I find them to be quite difficult, but I really love the graphics and the gameplay and the music and the control of the Super Castlevania IV game. While I can't get very far, it's still one of my go-to games on the Super Nintendo. The next game on my list is Super Mario AllStars, which is an update to the original Mario game on the NES. It includes Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 2, Super Mario Bros. 3, and Super Mario Bros. The Lost Level, which is a much harder version of the original. I really love how all 4 games are included here, but in all honesty, I only ever play the first and the third games. Like all Mario games, your goal is to rescue Princess Peach from Bowser. Wait a minute. I hope you already know all of this by now. I'm sure you've heard of Mario Brothers. I will say that I do have one problem with this version of the game, and that's how Mario doesn't bounce back down after smashing a block. This minor change from the original game tends to mess up my rhythm when playing. Still, you can't beat the charm of Mario in this version of the game. And of course it's a great value because it includes all 4 of these games. The last game on this list, and I can hear you saying it in your mind, it's gotta be Zelda, but nope, it's not. It's Super Punch-Out!, another update of an NES classic game. You play as Little Mac, I think, who fights an odd assortment of boxers. My favorite are the easy boxers because I can't get very far in the game. The graphics, sound, and gameplay are just fabulous, and in my opinion, a great improvement on the original. And believe it or not, some people actually prefer the original over this one. Imagine that, people have different opinions? Anyway, I find this to be a really fun and satisfying game, but only when you win. So there you have it, my 5 go-to Super Nintendo games, one of the greatest video game systems of all time. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like, share, and subscribe button so that you'll be notified for future videos. Thanks for watching, and remember to keep classic gaming alive.